you just go on a tear when you come over to the Yankees. You mentioned the 6 pennants, the 4 World Series in 5 years, 14 consecutive playoff appearances, which ties a record. But Pettit said, who you managed for a while, in the years we were winning, we expected to win, everybody. And when we didn't, it was devastating. Explain that mentality.
Well,
or that mindset.
My first of all, my first year there in spring training, and I always felt, and when I thing about it, I thought I had to do something different, because you get fired 3 times. You say, you may want to do something different. And I remember picking up Bill Parcells' book. It was his coaching book, and I was doing some exercise. I was on the bike or the Stairmaster, wherever I was, and I'm reading his book, and I'm just sort of thumbing through it, and I see the head of one chapter. The heading said, "If you believe in something, stay with it." Well, I closed the book. I'm not going to change, because, if you're together as long as managers and players together over the course of a year, you're going to be, people are going to see right through you if you're trying to be something you're not. So I basically, that first spring, I told players, I said I didn't want to only win 1 World Series. I wanted to win 3 in a row. And the reason I said that is because I've seen so many.
And this coming from a guy who never even won a playoff game before.
And I looked around, I said, every one of my coaches, every one of these guys have been in the World Series. I said, except me. Right. And I just felt that I've seen championship clubs as a fan, whether it's football, basketball, whatever it was, where they'd win, and then where were they? They didn't win the next year, or didn't even get to the playoffs. And I just felt that in order to validate what we hopefully would do, that we had to just continue to work at it. Because, to me, and I use this in many meetings, guys, you only borrow this. You can only play baseball for this period of time. There's a window about that wide. And get the most out of it. And of course, the 3 stops, Graham, before that certainly, contributed to my thinking.
And you mentioned continuing to work at it. You've coached some of the best players in the game. How would you characterize their mindset of trying to continuously improve?
Well, it was just, and George Steinbrenner was certainly a big part of that, because he kept driving at you. He was never satisfied, never satisfied. And it was just something that, we won in '96, and then we lost in '97, because '96 was a magical year. We weren't supposed to win. We were underdogs going into the World Series, losing the first 2 games to the Braves, and then, winning 4 straight. We won in '97. We came back, lose the first round against Cleveland, and guys were sort of stunned. I remember having to peel Bernie Williams off the steps after the game, because he made the last out in Game 5 of the division series, and he just couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe it. And I said, Bernie, it doesn't always happen that when you swing the bat, there's a line drive attached to it. Sometimes there's an out. And so they came back, and my team came back in '98 with a sense of purpose. And I'll tell you what, we didn't start out very well. I think we lost 3 out of the first 4, or 4 out of the first 5 games on the road trip, and we wind up winning 114 games for the season, 125, including the playoffs and the World Series. It was really a magical year of a ball club that just was so determined they weren't going to take no for an answer.
What made George Steinbrenner successful?
Oh, God, he just said the Yankees were... They were his baby. Very impatient. He had a football mentality. But you talk to Don Mattingly, who played for him for a good period of time, and he liked George because he feels like George drove the players. A lot of players complained about it because he got very personal, and he, as I say, he lacked a lot of patience. But our relationship was good for the most part. I mean, I'm not saying we always agreed on everything, but he just took the Yankee team to heart, and to the city of New York too, because he put. I know they spent over $200 million a year for payroll, but he put his money back into that team. That's the one thing that George Steinbrenner, did for the city of New York, and they certainly appreciated that.